Welcome, I'm Adrian Atkinson and this is your Tuesday edition of Jamaica Magazine. I won't say too much. I let the magazine tell its story. And this story takes the lead from a William Carlos Williams quote. In summer, the song sings itself. Our first chapter is the news.
Good day, I'm Lorraine Mendez and this is your JI's News for Tuesday, July 12. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the recent visit of a Saudi Arabian delegation is a positive signal and a strong indication that the Middle Eastern country is keen on doing business in Jamaica. Over 80 Saudi Arabian investors visited the island Friday to tour investment opportunities in Montego Bay and Kingston. The delegation comprised of government agencies and ministries, as well as heads of companies in tourism, agriculture, logistics, petrochemicals, and health. Among the sites visited were the Caymanas Special Economic Zone, the Kingston Logistics Park, and the Port Royal Pier.
I would want to see this strip being remembered as the point in time when we really and truly realize serious investments from the Middle East, particularly Saudi Arabia, in this region. We have many opportunities in Jamaica, many. We need partners to invest with us.
Prime Minister Holness said the country welcomed people-centered investments in areas such as education and training, science and technology, and medicine. Mr. Holness said Jamaica would also love to see investment in the built environment to include residential, commercial and industrial real estate, townships, smart cities, highways, water and sewage. The Prime Minister was speaking Friday at a business luncheon hosted for the group at the Port Royal Cruise Ship Pier in Kingston. Mr. Holness says the island offers an open, stable and robust economic platform that's attractive to investors. He also pointed to Jamaica's transformation of its ease of doing business to include property rights as well as permitting and approvals. Meanwhile, Investment Minister Senator Aubin Hill said commitment has been received by major conglomerates aligned to the Saudi investor delegation.
Spend a lot of time with Mr. Bandar Al-Harbi, who is the head of the Saudi Fund for Development out of Europe and the Caribbean. We went through the process, the procedure, what must happen, and Minister Al-Badr said, look, when you think of Saudi Arabia, you think big money. Yes, we have big contracts, but we're looking for smaller ones. 30 million, 20 million, and so Jamaican investments, and this is going across the country.
Deputy Minister for Investors Outreach, His Excellency Badir Al-Badir, who leads the Saudi delegation, said the group has been learning a lot and is greatly enthused by the meetings.
We're delighted because this event and our meetings around it will enable us to start examining ways and opportunities to build deeper investments, trades and business links between Saudi Arabia and Jamaica. Such activities will help both of us to further diversify and grow our economies and grow our private sectors and companies as well.
As Jamaica looks to expand and grow the economy, government will be making improvements to its trade online platforms such as the automated system for customs data, Asikuda. Changes are also being made to the truckers' appointment system. Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Senator Aubin Hill, said this will facilitate greater efficiency at ports for importers, exporters and other stakeholders interfacing with the Jamaica Customs Agency.
Jamaica is moving in the right direction, and today, with our Kingston port with its 3.2 million TEUs capacity and direct connection with 120 other ports in the world, is getting good and growing attention from traders around the world.
Meanwhile, the revised Customs Act, which is currently before a Joint Select Committee of Parliament, will offer compliance with customs requirements. Minister Hill says changes to the Act will put Jamaica in a better position to offer diversified export products within new markets and create greater opportunities for local businesses.
We're supported by the right governance and legislative framework to increase access to wider international markets through accredited testing, inspection, and certification services, reduced trade costs for exporters and manufacturers.
Senator Hill was addressing the 56th Annual General Meeting of the Customs Brokers and Freight Forwarders Association of Jamaica recently. The Port Royal Health Centre will benefit from improvement to the facility under the Ministry of Health's Adopt a Clinic initiative. $3 million is being invested by Fraser Fontaine and Kong over 3 years to enhance the patient care experience and staff working environment. The symbolic undertaking marks the 38th adoption and was welcomed by Portfolio Minister and other stakeholders.
$3 million over 3 years will go a far way because primary health care oftentimes don't need a lot, but it is the small improvements to enhance the environment, both for the healthcare worker as well as for those who come in for the support, that really makes the difference.
This year, FFK is celebrating 50 wonderful years as a company. And we have decided to focus on a celebration of initiatives that give back to our country, under the theme, Giving Back, Giving Thanks and Giving Back. Our Adopt a Clinic commitment is just one of those initiatives this year.
Minister Tufton says the adoption program has garnered approximately $160 to $170 million in commitment to date. He anticipates more partnerships and urges Jamaicans to embrace the collaboration as an important response to public health care. A transformation of current school boards is being considered as a way to address poor performances of students. It will take the form of an implementation of medium and short-term strategies by the Ministry of Education and the National Council on Education. This was disclosed by Portfolio Minister Favour Williams recently at the official launch of the online school board platform.
We have already revisited the school improvement framework. We have revised our school supervision and monitoring checklists. We've revised the school supervisory framework, and next step is to take a strategic review of central ministry and regional offices.
According to Minister Williams, the ministry will ensure that school administrators, staff, teachers, students and parents join in the mission for improving the school system.
We have begun a collaborative approach to school supervision, school improvement efforts with targeted focus on 243 underperforming schools.
In the meantime, the ministry will be recruiting new board members and volunteers while simplifying the board structure with the use of technology on school board operations. And finally, the government has accorded an official funeral to former Tourism Minister and Member of Parliament Francis Anthony Tulloh. Mr. Tulloh died on June 23 at the age of 81. He served in representational politics for more than 30 years, from 1972 to 2005. Mr. Tulloh served 4 separate constituencies as MP throughout his political career, as Parliamentary Secretary and Minister of State in Tourism, Industry and Commerce, and later as Minister of Tourism. The official memorial service will take place at the Cathedral of the Most Blessed Sacrament in Montego Bay on Thursday, July 14, starting at 10:30 a.m. A condolence book will be opened at Gordon House on Tuesday, July 12 for signing by the members of Parliament and the public. And that's it for JIS News today. I'm Lorraine Mendez. Thanks for watching.
Law and order goes a long way in creating an environment conducive to growth, opportunity, and peace of mind. It is this thought that drives the government of Jamaica when creating policies, plans, and programs. Let's hear about a few coming out of the office of the Prime Minister.
Prime Minister welcomes passage of road traffic regulations, opens Jamaica Mortgage Bank sponsored housing developments, and attends official farewell for former Minister Shahini Robinson. You're watching Jamaica House Weekly. I'm Anthony Morgan. Prime Minister Andrew Holness last week welcomed the passage of the road traffic regulations that will accompany the 2018 Road Traffic Act. The regulations were passed in the House of Representatives on Tuesday and will now go before the Senate. At a Road Safety Council meeting Thursday, Mr. Holness said that the 299 regulation booklet will improve traffic management, reduce road crashes, and bolster public order. Among the regulations are provisions for electronic monitoring, electronic ticketing, a national vehicle registry, as well as the separation of the registration and licensing of motor vehicles. Public passenger vehicles will undergo a more rigorous special inspection to be deemed suitable for transporting passengers. A helmet must be included in the sale of every motorcycle sale or purchase. And new rules are also in place for tire safety, visibility, vehicle emissions, noise, and other environmental disturbance.
I'm certain that all Jamaica is quite frustrated with the noise, particularly of motorbikes that have modified their mufflers to announce their passing and arrival. It is, just to be frank, it is disgusting. And it is time that it stops. And we have now put in place the legal framework to address this pestilence on the roads. The government is proceeding with plans to list the shares of the Jamaica Mortgage Bank on the Jamaica Stock Exchange and allow ordinary Jamaicans to own a piece of this very profitable company. This is consistent with the government's philosophy that the private sector must be the driver of economic growth and that the role of government is to serve as a catalyst and enabler.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness Thursday, as he cut the ribbons to the Jamaica Mortgage Bank financed Forest Gates development in Red Hill, St. Andrew. The 30-unit complex consists of 1, 2, and 3-bedroom apartments and a townhouse. It also boasts several amenities such as water storage, 24-hour security, swimming pool, gym, and a recreation area. By Thursday evening, the Prime Minister was at 28 Waterloo Avenue in St. Andrew opening another Jamaica Mortgage Bank funded development. This time he was on hand to officially open and hand over keys to the 24-unit Genesis 28 housing complex. Mr. Holness shared that the bank, which made $500 million in income last year, will be divested to help the state achieve its goal of providing 70,000 housing units at all price points of the housing market.
But what the government should do is to place that asset for public ownership on the stock exchange and raise funds from it. And of course, use those funds that we raise to support the development of housing solutions for lower income and affordable housing. We will probably still retain some presence in the bank in terms of share ownership, but it will become a publicly owned limited liability company. It will expand the ability of the Jamaica Mortgage Bank to serve a much wider customer base.
Earlier in the week, Prime Minister Holness ventured to St. Anne to participate in the official funeral service and interment of the late Shahini Robinson. The former minister died during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, and arrangements were scaled back during that time. Mr. Holness read the first lesson at Tuesday's Mass celebration on the anniversary of Robinson's birth. And when news broke Friday that former Prime Minister of Japan, Shinzo Abe, was killed, Mr. Holness tweeted his condolences to the family of Mr. Abe and the people of Japan. And that's it for Jamaica House Weekly. Be sure to join us next time for more of the news stories coming out of the office of the Prime Minister.
Jamaica experiences a tropical marine climate, or I'd say it's summer all year round. So there's always a reason to cool down in one of our over 100 rivers. But if the hue of the salty Caribbean blue is more your vibe, then I know just the place.
Nestled between the Reynolds Pier and the port of Ocho the Ocho Fishing Village is a seaside attraction and eatery and the ultimate chill spot, which was developed by the Port Authority of Jamaica and launched in 2018.
I'm Kim,
and today's port call features the Authorized Fishing Village. Today we'll share some insights into the objectives of the development, give you a status update, and also tell you our future plans.
Welcome to the Authorized Fishing Village, the ultimate chill spot. This has been a project of the Port Authority of Jamaica. Let me show you around.
All right, William, tell us. The Port Authority of Jamaica made a significant investment into this development, the Authorized Fishing Village. What were the initial concerns and considerations that led to this development and the reason for PAG making such a huge investment in this facility?
Well, the most important thing as a Port Authority we're concerned about is the guest experience on the ground. And what we realized by feedback from the cruise lines and what notices we'd picked up online and so on, was that the guest experience on the in Authorized itself needed some lifting. And when we started to identify where the negative elements were, some of it was directly related to what was the little fishing village.
Right.
This wasn't the fishermen, but rather some bad elements that had become embedded into the location.
When the initial development of Authorized as a tourism destination was taking place, the fishermen that occupied the actual bay were transferred here on an agreement with the UDC based on what was happening down here, because it wasn't just fishing activities that were taking place. A lot of illicit things, like people were smuggling drugs to tourists, both stopover arrivals and cruise passengers coming in. And there was a lot of complaints coming from the cruise line based on the experience. And the PAJ saw it fit to enter into an agreement to bring together some semblance of order down here and a structured development. So in 2015, November 27th to be precise, a tripartite agreement was formed between the Port Authority of Jamaica, UDC, and the Fishermen's Benevolent Society, where you saw the whole transformation of this area here. The Port Authority went in, bought the rights from the UDC to the land, and a part of the tripartite agreement with the fisher folks that were here is that Port Authority would acquire their interest through a compensation package to them, right? But they would be given the exclusive rights to still operate from here under the rules and management of the Port Authority. So hence the agreement that the fishermen are still here and the property was developed.
Since the development, find a lot of more people coming down here. And the people them love down here bad. The people them know say when they come, then get the food and the fish them fresh, just from the sea to the pot.
In the development concept, the consultant, right, decided how best to utilize the available land, right, and features that existed on the property, right, have led us to design these two shops, right, elevated. If you notice, it is much higher than the rest of shop. In doing that, they try to use all the natural features of the land. And that includes the terrain, the river stream that you have here.
The Authorized Fishing Village is the ultimate chill spot because you have oceanic sea view, you have an estuary, you have good food.
First we were unwilling because we thought they would go give the place to the Indian and the Chinese and that we couldn't afford it. But now we see that they give it back to us, the locals, so it's a great thing. And well, we can afford and we have less harassment down here because you have security and everything is different, much different now and safer.
Up next, a piece of our paradise home known for its natural beauty, stunning beaches, lush vegetation, multiple caves and rivers, as well as the peak of the Blue Mountain Range.
So Portland is this parish where the waters move to their own dialogue. These shapeless liquids shaping our ability to experience life around us. Of course, we keep returning to stunning but familiar blue or turquoise spaces we grew up around, but maybe never quite enjoyed how we're supposed to.
This is a parish where the water smooth like rum, Jamaican style.
Where life can be spicy like jerk chicken, the true flavor of Portland.
Our the culture can be exciting like we the people. 6 boy!
Luxurious resorts, the greenery of tropical plants, and the radiant sunlight, all of which, of course, make Portland a breathtaking place to see. But today, we're exploring the seas of the parish as Portland speaks to us with her unique language. So ever since time, people have been seeking waterways to open new horizons or even driving coastlines in search of surf spots. Well, here at Boston Bay Beach, we found one of Jamaica's ideal surf spots, where surfing in the country began in the 1900s.
The traditional surfing that we have come to envision when the word is used of someone standing on a surfboard riding a big wave. The popularity of that in Jamaica actually probably took off somewhere in the late 1950s to early 1960s. Boston was one of the places where surfing was possible, and as such these surfers who lived in Kingston used to make a regular trip over to Boston Bay to enjoy the surf over there. Boston Bay became renowned as one of the surfing beaches in Jamaica, being the fact that it was on the north coast and it was a beautiful picturesque cove that also allowed for swimming as well as surfing. It became very popular as a surf destination. I could say that I've got my first personal surfboard in about 1974. And I've been surfing since that time until now. It enriched my life, and with a feeling when you're surfing, it's almost like flying, is what I would say. You feel like you're flying because you're moving over the surface of water like how God said that move over the surface of the water in Genesis 1.
And just in case you didn't know, Boston is an unusual but beautiful horseshoe-shaped bay that leads to the sea. It provides a lovely view. Surfing is not so popular in Jamaica, but at this beach, locals and tourists will be tempted by the tides to grab a surfboard and ride the waves. So if you're here, do it anyway.
My name is Anthony, and I've been surfing over 4 years now. Boston Bay Beach is one of the safest beaches to surf and swim and come and enjoy our good food that we have here as well.
Well, I've been surfing here at Boston Bay Beach for 9 years now and still going. Well, you have beautiful scenery, nice waves for surfing, and then you have nice jerk food all around and nice friendly people. So right now here at Boston Beach is like the most beautiful place on the island for surfing. Surfing kind of like refreshes my mind and after a stressful day and stuff like that. And teaching people to surf is also fun. It helps to put a smile on other people's face and stuff like that.
You're a newbie like myself, come to Boston Bay Beach and test the limits of gravity on the tides.
Rent a surfboard, get yourself a surf instructor and surf some. I promise you, it will be an unforgettable experience. Now, on my journey in Portland, I discovered somewhere that's tucked away in the parish. Off the beaten track, a literal hidden gem, Turtle Bay. And what makes Turtle Bay so unique? The bay is named for the turtle shell-shaped stone monument that magically rises from the water. Well, that's of course if you believe in magic. And there's an adventure to be had in trying to find your way there. Turtle Bay is a great place to just escape from the rattle and hum of things, chill and just enjoy the view of the lovely rocks. Now, after exploring all those exhibitions of colors, the ebb and flow of tides, and the beach bowing to our need for adventure, I mean, it's only fitting to relax a little above sea level. I'm on my way to Canopy House, and these are tree houses or hotels tucked away high up in the rainforest. So you can just imagine the lush surrounding. Birds tweeting, leaves rustling, seas splashing. But it's easy to see how all these come together to create one thing, beauty.
Canopy House is actually near the Blue Lagoon in Port Antonio. We are totally off the beaten track. It's hard to find us, and that's deliberate. It is not for everybody. Canopy House is pretty much in a rainforest. So we have totally wooden structures. We try to fit into the environment. So if you're not into natural scenery, if you're not into environmentally friendly properties, this is not for you. We use local people to make the houses and local wood. So sweetwood, almond tree, these are just some of the names. We actually exit into the Blue Lagoon, and we have a deck that you can jump off and swim at the Blue Lagoon. We have kayaks on property. I find though that the people from Europe enjoy Canopy a lot. And lately we have been getting a lot of people from Jamaica, because Port Antonio is now becoming the capital of getting away from it all in Jamaica.
It's no easy ride getting here, but it's a worthwhile trip. So Portland may be several different things for several different persons. And for me, it's a parish with so much beauty to see, feel, and taste. Come and enjoy the whole Portland story, from the bush to the beach or the hill, whatever you will. Really, it's all here.
And so, with the sunshine and the great bursts of leaves growing on the trees, just as things grow in fast movies, I had that familiar conviction that life was beginning over again with the summer. F. Scott Fitzgerald, The Great Gatsby. This season, reset, relax, relive some of your childhood memories, and absorb all the sunshine and opportunity that summer brings, with sunscreen, of course. Thank you so much for staying with us. Do check out our website for stories and much more. This is where our story in Summer the Song Sings Itself ends. But as I said earlier, there's always summer in Jamaica, and that means it's a never-ending concert. I'm Adrian Atkinson. Have a great week.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.